All right, guys, as much as I want to run off to Maine and go have an adventure and go see some lighthouses, I'm going to keep working on the barge for at least a little while. If it keeps snowing into next week, I might change my mind and we're going to go to Maine. But in the meantime, let's do a Beagle Barge Beagle Build a Beagle Barge Beagle Build video. Stay tuned. So Wavey and I are heading up the Keweenaw right now to pick up some pine planks and some cedar tongue and groove, more of it, from the fellow that I've been working with for a couple of years, Steve at Backwoods Lumber. If you're in the Keweenaw or even the UP or northern Wisconsin and you want to get a good deal on some lumber that's milled right on site, you should check him out. I'm going to put his contact information in the description below. Alrighty, so I picked up a new battery at Walmart for the bus. Let's see if we can start it. First time this year. Oh, I heard it cough. Okay, it's coming to life. I got this Honda generator on the Adventure Craft a couple of years ago, and I've hardly ever used it. Gonna come in handy now. Good morning, guys and gals. Welcome to day 2 of putting the floor in the Beagle Barge. I'm going to turn the phone around and show you what I'm doing. So it's one of those things when you are doing a floor, you got to move everything out of the way. But I've been living in this thing, for last summer, and so a bunch of stuff piled in, and then you start to get overwhelmed and not know where to start. And so I've had to empty most of the stuff out of here, which wasn't too bad, but I'm going to leave that table and just keep moving it back and forth out of the way, hopefully. And then I'm trying to get around the couch, too, just because it's kind of hard to load in and out of the small doors in the back or the front. I have decided, after trying to get this linoleum up, I can get little bits and pieces, but it's stuck down pretty good. I'm just going to put the pine planks over it, kind of sandwich it in. Hope that's going to be all right. It's got particle plywood style wood underneath it, and most of it's in pretty good shape, and the pine will cover over it, but I do have to, this was under the back steps, and probably just rain got in over time, and it just did that. So I'm going to cut a chunk out and replace it with a piece of plywood before I put some pine down. But just for starters, because I've never done anything like this before, I'm gonna start in this corner over here and start putting some pine down, and let's just see how it goes. Now just remember that you're watching a channel and a guy who has no idea what he's doing, and that should comfort you. because you probably do at least know kind of what you're doing if you're watching this channel. And it'll make you feel better knowing that a guy that really doesn't know what he's doing can build a shanty boat. And that should be one of the mottos of this channel. If I can do it, so can you. Okay, so what I'm doing, what makes sense to me, hope I'm, this is a correct assessment, but I am, most of all of my pine boards are roughly the same length. And I don't want the seam between the two to be always in the same place. It's kind of like, when I put the cedar up, you don't want to have the seam all in one place if you can help it. Sometimes it's really hard not to have that happen, but in this case I can just kind of trim the ends, make some that are a little bit shorter than others, and I can have my seams in different spots a little bit, at least kind of stagger, if that makes sense. I promise I'm not going to give you a plank by plank play here, guys, but figured I'd just kind of show you the beginnings of it. There's no way to make a plank or any piece of wood perfectly straight, especially when you start going, 6 or 7 feet. So I'm just the best I can. I'm kind of trying to push them up as close as I can, but there's going to be gaps. It's just the way it's going to be. So I'm okay with that. All right, guys. So we're going along here. Again, reminding you that I really don't know what I'm doing. Went to the store and got some more screws before they close on a Sunday. And I'm kind of coming up right to the edge here where I'll be able to cut it, and replace that piece there. But yeah, I'm starting to get an idea, a vision. It's starting to materialize into reality. Another little trick I'll show you guys. I don't know if it's a trick, but it's something that I'm having to do here. So, the little differences in the widths will start to add up, and you want to try to keep it, you kind of see what I'm talking about here. So I'm using this as a wedge to kind of space them out as I put them together. There's going to be gaps. I mean, there's just no way around it. Maybe they'll fill up with dirt and river grime, and who knows, maybe there's ways to fill it. I got to look into it, but it's kind of how it's all coming together. Wavey's slipping out of her sweater. She likes to do that once in a while. What are you even doing up on the table? Alright, this is what we got so far. Had to start moving some stuff over to the finished part so I can lay on the starboard side. And I'm still trying to decide whether I want to unscrew the helm and put pine underneath it, which would lift it, a little less than an inch, or if I want to just run it up to it. So I'm working on this rotten wood back here. I was using my jigsaw, but as usually happens, I broke a blade on it pretty quickly. That's usually my experience with them, and I didn't hit any metal or aluminum or anything. They just, I don't know, flimsy. Can't be careful enough with them. So I'm trying to think of another way to kind of cut this stuff out. Maybe a skill saw if I set it really shallow, or just do it by hand. Giving you guys another example of this here. So, these boards are some of them are a little bit warped or not quite straight. I mean, there's no way to, you're not going to get that whether you go to Menards or anywhere. So you're going to have to, move the boards around, but as they start getting screwed down, they get hard to move, right? So what I did in this case, for example, is the gap was a little too much in my opinion. So I rammed that little axe head down inside and split the difference between that crack and that crack. So yeah, I don't know, just an idea, guys. All right, let me show you this, guys, real quick. So I've got this space back here in the back of the cabin that didn't have a lot of support. You know, there's aluminum stringers on the hull of the barge hull, and then somebody that put the floor in, you know, that built this cabin back in the 80s, you know, they had wooden, you know, what would you call that, the stringers going the other way, so you'd have something to put the floor on. But there's a space in the back that didn't have that, so it kind of flexed because the step goes right there. I'll show you guys in a minute. And so, you know, I wanted to put some support there, but I was thinking how to do it. So I did some measurements, you know, I cut out this rotten stuff here, and I went back. I found this piece of wood on the beach a couple nights ago in the evening. I was walking around. I always pick up driftwood, especially if it's milled wood, like an old dock, or, you know, dock wood or something like that that's washed away from who knows where, Canada or something. And I measured it. It's exactly the size I needed. I didn't have to even trim this up. It's exactly the right depth, 3 3/4, and it's the right size to fit into this little dead space here. And then I'm going to put this in here. I need to trim it up a little better, but that's going to give me more, I don't know what you call it, subfloor, to then put the planks on. So sometimes it's just like everything's just working in your favor, just little things, and it feels good, especially when you've worked all day and you're tired.
Oh hi, my name is Wavy Gravy, star of the channel. I've got postcards, and if you buy some postcards, I can send Brenton to the store to get me some treats. I'll even sign them for you. Thanks!
Stopped at the store and got one of our local Keweenaw beers. We got just a little bit of snow left, but I don't have to buy ice because I'm cheap. Well, good morning, guys. Welcome to the second day in a row of hammering the barge here. I'm going to turn the phone around and show you how much we got done yesterday and how much I hope to get done today. So let's say I got about half of the pine floor in yesterday, and I'm kind of, you know, moving stuff around, obviously, to, you know, get to the floor. Decided excuse me, I've decided I'm going to unscrew the helm and lift it up and put the flooring underneath it, as opposed to just up against it. You know, that makes sense. Underneath it, raise it up just a little. You know, it's got a little bit of room. I'm going to have to raise the controls a little bit too, but that's no big deal. A few screws. Still trying to decide where to put the wood stove. I'm kind of baffled about this. I think about it a lot when I'm driving and stuff. Trying to map out the interior, you know, how this will lay out. I think I'll return to that, though, guys, towards the end of the video, and pose a question to you. Maybe you can help me in the comments section. But for now, let's keep working on this floor. I should have taken them out of their holders first. Ugh. There we go. Snow's still good for something. Okay, guys, so I am beat. I have been up and down a ladder for 2 solid days, and on my knees and back up, and every contorted position you can imagine, putting this floor down. And I just turned 51 a couple of weeks ago, so I guess it's starting to catch up with me, but I'm going to keep fighting it like we all should do. So yeah, let me turn the phone around, just kind of show you what I'm thinking. I'm actually very glad that I did this. You know, it had particle plywood, you know, what do you call that, particle board, and then linoleum on it, you know, which was faded and beat up and, you know, peeling up, and been there since the boat was built probably back in the 80s, and it just was really ugly. And I was always trying to cover up, spots and put rubber down and stuff like that. But I kind of figured if I'm going to do a floor, now's the time before I start, putting furniture in here and building cabinetry and tables and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad I did this, but it was a lot of work. And a couple other things I'll point out to you guys. I'll get your opinion if you have one, maybe comment. I found it to be a challenge when trying to plan useful space width-wise. Oftentimes, like fold-out beds, fold-out couches and stuff, they just need a full 8 feet to fully fold out, I could do that on the Shanty Beagle because the interior of it was about 8 feet. I could just barely pull it off. But that extra foot or so that I've lost, in this cabin, now there's plenty of length, of course, 18 feet, but that foot has made a big difference. So what I've been doing is, trying to figure out how to have a good bed, but it's not in the way all the time, ideally something to get out of the way. And I do know there are, like, I think they call them treadle beds, which, could fold up against that wall, for example, and then come back down. Now, that's way beyond my, skills to build. So I do have this fold-out chair I'm going to show you guys, probably the next video, that I think's gonna work. But that's going to probably be for company, when I have company, guests. And what I've been thinking about doing is taking this corner and building out about 6 feet or so, 6.5 feet, and making a platform there, and then having a permanent bed, like a twin. I have a really good twin mattress that came in a camper, I think. I think that Bigfoot camper is where it came from. And just basically designating this corner as a bed, but could also, be sat on as, kind of a couch, a day bed or whatever you want to call it, when I'm not sleeping, right? So, and then it's going to be some kind of helm seat. I got an idea for that. I'll share with you later. And I'm thinking the wood stove in that corner, just because I don't know where else to put it. If I'm going to have a wood stove on this boat, which I do, I want to have one. I mean, I love the idea of burning driftwood as I'm going down the rivers, And I think that's the only place to put it. And I would run the pipe out the wall right here. I know I've got some stuff in the way here, but there's the wood stove that I picked up last year. Got a really good deal on it. Brand spanking new, made in Minnesota. And, got to have some kind of table, right? So maybe the table right there, maybe over on this side. I got to think about weight distribution as well. I can't put too much weight on just one side. It seems like everything kind of wants to gravitate towards the port side, the helm side. I've got the space here, but then you got to have enough room to walk from, eventually the doors I build. It's got to happen soon. You got to be able to walk, and then the bed will be right there, but there has to be enough room to get between the bed and whatever would be on this corner. So, basically, if you got some ideas, feel free to share them with me, and I'll continue to, kind of chip away at it. At the end of the day, I gotta do something, set it up in here. It might just be really sparse and Spartan, and just have a couple places to sit and one little table to do whatever on, and a little wood stove. And I'm gonna have probably a diesel. I have a couple diesel heaters actually, and I'm gonna install one in here probably. Have at least 2 forms of heat, because I do plan on using this, even in winter, and not necessarily always in Florida. So yeah, guys, that's me ranting, probably long enough. So I'll turn the phone back around for a second. I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys caring about this project, and any input you got, I'll always listen. I don't say this enough. I read every comment anyone ever puts on any of my videos. Sometimes I only put a heart. I used to answer all of them, but it has gotten to a point in the past couple of years, I'd say, where I can't answer all of them. There's, usually too many. But I do on the community page, because there's a lot less people, that comment there. But I read every comment, and I take it in. And if you want me to respond to it, if you'd like a response to it, maybe you could just kind of put it in the form of a question, so that I know that's one to respond to. But if you're just kind of making a comment, I read them. I appreciate them. The encouraging comments, especially, even constructive criticism. I've been having some people lately say, you know, stop doing the shorts, and sorry, but it's the only way you can get in front of new potential subscribers on YouTube. And I have been able to gain a couple hundred new subscribers since I was down in Tennessee by making shorts. So just ignore them. Just ignore them if you don't like them, okay? And if you do like them, appreciate it. Thank you. Watch them. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you again soon. Turn the phone around one more time. I think after I get to a point where I'm not working on the barge here, probably in a couple days, I'm going to put the Vagabond in the river, which you can see right across the road there, and I'm going to park it in front of my house. And we're going to go on a little afternoon driftwood collecting afternoon, where this time of year, people, the tourists, you know, haven't burned all the driftwood for their you know, beach fires, and so you can find a lot of cool driftwood, and especially if you have a boat, you can kind of go up the shoreways where people don't often go, you know. So we'll probably go up to 10 Mile Beach and just kind of look around and try to find some really good driftwood, and I'm gonna, you know, take you guys along, and it'll be a nice little fun adventure to get off of this this building project for a bit. Okay, guys, thanks. I will see you soon.